Guten Tag, everybody, and welcome to Late to the Party. Today we are reviewing Metropolis. Dun, dun, dun. Just a quick run through of everybody here. I'm Jason.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Jose.
Nate the Great, man.
And Josh.
Great. All right, well, welcome everybody. So Metropolis is a sci-fi adventure thriller. You see the workers pitted up against the industrialists, and the son, the youth, is caught in between. It's a pretty long movie. It's all silent except for the rousing music. And yes, I want to start it off a little bit different, and let's run through our favorite scene before we get into the nitty-gritty. Isaac, why don't you start us off?
Oh, sorry. I had to do that. So my favorite scene is going to have to be scene C-3PO, the vision for C-3PO. That was the big highlight of this movie for me, was seeing that, the robot and the transformation of the chick to the robot. Other than that, I was bored like hell through this movie.
Nice. Nate, why don't you tell us what scene you were able to stay awake for?
Oh yeah, see? My favorite scene was when the guy was working on his stuff and he couldn't quite manage what was going on, see? And you can see the sweat pouring from his face, see? It was like raining, see? And then, boom, explosion happens, and all of the people are getting cast down into Moloch, see? Down into the innards. And then you see they're all slaves going into Moloch, and then the regular people, the workers, were marching in there of their own free will. So there's the people, they're all going to the same place. See? Moloch. Bad guy.
Nice. Scott's, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene from what I watched this time around was the conversation between the old guy, the father, and the Doc Brown, the mad scientist. That's that's there, and that go between where you can see how devilish and evil Dad and it really is. Like, you know, that it's like, ooh, I'm glad he's not my dad, kind of thing. Like, it was just, they were able to convey that so well, the deviousness of that man.
Well, I would like to start by saying to Lego, and I mean this with all sincerity, thank you for recommending this film.
Yeah, he never saw this one.
It's
German. What's wrong with you?
I've never seen the film before, and I enjoyed it. My favorite scene in the movie is when Frater, who is the son, you know, the way that he's portrayed early on, and this is probably because of the silent movie issue, where, you know, everybody's wearing makeup, including the guys, and he kind of comes across as this effeminate, like, useless turd of a character, and I was very annoyed with him. But there's a scene where his father fires.
His, like,
I forget what his name is. I always want to say it's Jehoshaphat, because there's a lot of biblical references in this film. I think it's just Josephat or something.
Yeah,
no, it's not Joseph. It's Josephat or something. And the guy that gets fired, this guy Josephat, he gets fired, and he's so distraught because Frater's father, Joe, is the one that, like, runs the whole show, and he's so distraught that he's going to go kill himself. And Frater, you know, first intercedes with his father and says, "Don't you know how badly people take it when you treat them in this way?" And then he goes after the guy and saves his life. And then you realize that Frater is not this like irritating puss character. He's actually like a guy with like actual convictions. And so that kind of transformed that character from that point on. I could take him real serious and enjoy the rest of the film.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I realized how important that scene was, but I could totally see that. That was a big character shift. Jose, what do you got for us?
I absolutely love the scene where she's telling them the story of Babel, in comparison to what's going on with them, because it shows how important Maria is to the entire story and how she's the one kind of holding the peace. Because at the same time, we also get the revelation of what the master plan is for the father, and he intends to have her replaced with the robot as soon as she finished telling the story. And you can tell that the workers are just on edge, like they're just ready to go, because after she's done telling them, they do the whole, the hard thing, and they're saying, yes, well, we're waiting for our savior to come, we're waiting for the guy that's coming to get us out of this. But then somebody or a group of people say something around the lines of, but we're not going to wait for much longer. Mm-hmm. And so, her telling these stories and her giving them that hope, that's how important she is.
Nice. Yeah. This movie was littered with biblical references. I mean, it was very apparent throughout the whole film. And I really appreciated that. I thought having the big Gothic churches and the structures that were still, they looked old, but they were in this futuristic setting. That was really cool.
Beautiful.
Which is funny because the futuristic setting in a lot of ways looked more like, big cities that we have today.
Yeah.
A lot of the buildings have that same structure. And, this movie's made in 1927. And the way that they saw the future was kind of how we're living right now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that could easily be my favorite scene, when Frater is going to his father's tower, and you get a view of the city. You see the planes flying around and the trains, cars, people, and it's all these like really interesting shots of the city and the structures. And it's kind of like how we were talking with Akira, how that intro with the motorcycle, it really shows you like what is happening, what this world looks like, and it sets the stage for what's to come. Yeah. So on to the next question. Does it hold up? Let's do it same order. Isaac, start us off. Does it hold up?
Now I get it.
Yes.
I agree, for sure. Everything he said is what I want to say.
Sorry. If I saw it in a cleaner version, maybe it would have held up. Like, it's silent, so it doesn't get your attention right away. But like, as you guys are explaining certain scenes, it's like, oh, I may have missed that when I fell asleep. Maybe I should have rewound it. Like, if I would have seen a cleaner version, maybe in a bigger screen, I wouldn't have fallen asleep. I don't know. Silent movies are very, like, it's all just like facial expressions and like heavy on the makeup. Seeing Gene.
You mean like a comic book?
The comic book has like words along the whole time. This is like they're talking dialogue.
You mean like a silent movie does?
It's like the dialogue's going on and they're talking. It's like two words. So like, I don't think it'd be able to be done today with silent, and I don't think a lot of kids would be into this film for sure, because they've got such a small attention span nowadays that something like this wouldn't capture a younger audience at all. That's just me though.
Nathaniel.
6 times. I fell asleep 6 times. This broke the Monty Python record. 6. I had to pause it. I fell asleep 6 times within 24 minutes of the beginning of the movie. 6 times, and I paused it after the 6th time, and I brewed a cup of coffee, and I had 2 16-ounce cups of coffee, and I sat there and I watched it. I took 2 toothpicks, 1 in each eye. And I'm watching this movie.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange that crap, huh?
And like I had to keep on going back to it because I'm watching it. My phone dings. I look over my phone. I'm like, you know what? If something happens, I'll know. There's no way to like, oh, they're talking about something important. Let me pay attention. No, you have to watch it. It felt like being in a dark elevator with like one of those what were those things called in the
viewfinder. Viewfinders.
In a dark elevator with the music playing. It was like, man, it was. Could it be made today? Like, if you have people who have like a reverse insomnia or like reverse narcolepsy, and you want to make people fall asleep, then you can make this movie today.
It's us.
I was like, putting on some aloe vera after that harsh burn. Can it be made today? I think it has been. I mean, to do a remake of this, or no, does it stand up? I think it does because it's got all of the classic tropes in it. A modernized version of it could be made in silent form, probably not. But I think this movie, like, it's the precursor for every other movie like it out there. When you have this type of class situation, you have this, and the propaganda that's in there. There's a lot in this movie, but can it be made today? Yes, it can, because it has been time and time again, because this is where those movies started from. Sorry.
Unfortunately, I would have to agree that this movie probably doesn't hold up today. And that saying that, I enjoyed it. For me, it held up. But I don't think we live in a culture that can tolerate films like this anymore. I think we have too much of an attention deficit problem. Part of my theory is that ADD is a BS syndrome. It's just something that we've assigned because we have such a short attention span now, and we don't demand people put in the time, or that people adapt to what's boring so that you might actually learn something or experience something. Nobody wants to sit and have a cup of coffee, and watch the sunrise and watch the birds fly around because they got to hit up the Twitters and the Facebooks. So the story is, the kill the dragon, save the girl kind of story, which is the kind of thing that resonates. But the format that the movie is done in, I just don't think can be tolerated anymore.
Right on. Oh, Shui, bring us home.
All right. The way it stands, the way it's made right now, we need a remaster of it. We need it to get cleaned up. But can it be made today? I think if you have the correct writer and director, I think so. I mean, a Quiet Place comes to mind, and given that's horror, but the whole premise behind it is the way they communicated was sign language. You could easily modernize it, throw that in there, give us the subtitles, have them just, be a voiceless society. This movie is meta before meta was a thing, and that's what I love about it. And the other thing too is, it's possible to do it, because I remember back in the day watching an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where they didn't have the voices. Something happened. I guess one of the creatures took everyone's voices, so they had to figure out a way. And that was the episode that actually won them their award. So there is I think, I agree with what you guys are saying, that the audience isn't, mass audience isn't there, but there is still an audience that looks for something different, and for something, especially today, we look for something that's a little bit meta. So making the right changes, where they count, instead of maybe just throwing up the flashcards like Isaac was doing. If they modified it to do just a voiceless society using sign language and the subtitles on the bottom, I don't know. I think if you do it correctly, it can be made today.
Right on. Well said, guys. Least favorite scene. Let's start it off with Liz. What did you not like in that first half?
But I can't find anything really that should be removed. Maybe some little editings here and there. Maybe we don't need to see in the father's office. All of those guys working on the little boards or whatever that made it look like it's a banker's office or something. Like that would be like the thing that I would say, okay, maybe we don't need to see as much of that.
Like maybe if we just didn't have so much like dialogue with the talkie, because like those little cue cards, like Isaac said, were very short for how long people were talking with the.
And Germans say a lot to say one word, so remember that this is an entire German cast, so they're probably saying, "Hey, babe, I love you." And it's like to say something like that. But yeah, like yeah.
Nice, Mr. Schwa, least favorite scene.
Me? I couldn't really figure out why they couldn't work this out. And that is that the name of the guy that runs Metropolis is Joe Fraterson. His son's name is Frater. His son's name is Frater. So
why is
Frater
it
Fraterson? It's Frater Fraterson? Really? I mean, that makes no sense. So I don't, there's if that makes sense as part of the story, there's a piece of the narrative that's missing, because I was like, okay. That'd be like Mike Michelson. It's like your parents really just couldn't come up with anything, huh? You're kind of dumb. Anyway.
Well, that could be just the American versions of translation for the cue cards, because
no, those are not American names.
No, I know, but I mean the way that I know, but the way that they put it together during the translation or something of it. I don't know.
That was the only thing that bothered me, was the name.
Nice. That was a little confusing for me too. We got Jose. Let's hear your least favorite scene.
I didn't like how, she brought the kids up to show them how the better half lives. It's kind of like teasing them in their face. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the lesson was there. I think the cue card just said, "Oh, these are your brothers," And here she is, she's all clean. She's wearing this really pretty white dress. Meanwhile, all these kids are dressed in rags. And she's kind of just showing them like, "Oh, check it out. This is how the better, this is what this is how these guys live." And the kids are just kind of like looking around like so amazed. But what was the point of that? I guess it's to get the story going, which is where Frater finally sees her, and then he follows him down because he's curious.
Nathaniel.
I'm sorry, I was falling asleep
Are you
again.
here?
What's the question?
What is your least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene. Oh man, even filming this is killing me. Good God.
Isaac, what's your least favorite scene, buddy?
No, I'll finish it. My least favorite scene is when she's dancing, and I'm like, "Ooh, is that boobies?" I'm like, "No, it's not quite boobies. She's got something covering the neck." And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe she'll do a cool dance. Maybe this will be like a little bit of enticing. But she isn't. She's like, it's not even dancing the Charleston down at the soda fountain. It's like this weird, like, methed out, not quite 20. I don't know what it was, but it's like, oh, well, I thought I was going to have my favorite scene, and it morphed into the worst scene. So there we go.
Very nice, very nice.
Sorry, lady.
Good times.
The dancing was terrible. Her on top of that dude's back at the end, like her, the robot, and she's dancing and she's going crazy on that dude's shoulders. That was terrible dancing. So I agree with Nate. They could have done without that. What was Gene Wilder doing, man? She looked like Gene Wilder. The whole time I was like, dude, Gene Wilder wasn't that old. But her dancing was just terrible. They could have done without that. That would have taken off a good 5 minutes from this movie, made it 1:55.
Well, that leads us right into my next question. When we see her elevated, and like it follows out of the dancing scene, and you got all the eyeballs. Oh, what a cool effect that was! and then there's like this pillar that she's like lifted on, and there's like a Shiva god, and there's like a couple other like little gods, and then all the people are putting their hands up, and they kind of raise the
7 sins. There's 7 gods below her. It's the 7 sins, and all the hands below are formed in a pyramid.
Dude, what did you guys think of that? Was that I was like, whoa, this is crazy, and I thought it was really cool, like seeing the Mecca Maria, like elevated by the industrialists, while the more peaceful one was elevated by the masses.
I didn't understand it while I was watching it. I looked at like some. I usually don't do this with these movies. I like all of my opinions to be from myself. But I was like, man, I need something because I'm going to be an asshole when we're having the show. So I was watching on YouTube, like other people review it. And it was kind of cool because, I mean, honestly, as much as I'm dissing this movie, when I saw the other people review it, and I'm actually listening to you guys talk about it, you know, when I saw the other people reviewing it, they were actually watching different versions of it than I saw because the scenery was brighter. So like I could appreciate what was happening more, and they were describing the scene that you're talking about, and that's how I knew about the 7 sins and the triangle with the hands. Like I was like, ooh, but I got it from watching the thing. I didn't catch it in the movie because I was too busy trying to catch my drool as I was falling asleep. But there's a lot of people who've dug in on this, and it's probably more cerebral than, you know, maybe if I like got a whole bottle of Adderall and smashed it and snorted it, I'd be able to catch some of the alliteration in this. But
I kind of remember it because just because the music was like more like I said, heavy metal, not like heavy metal the movie heavy metal, but like it was like Aerosmith, it was Kiss, it was Queen. There's like, they used those guys as the soundtrack backdrop for all of the scenes. It was like one long music video with a bunch of stuff. And I think with that particular one, I want to say it was either Kiss or Queen. I know there's 2 different, like very drastic, but it was one of those 2 that they used for that particular scene that you were talking about. But I'll see if I can find that version.
Very cool. I'd love to see it.
Okay,
all right.
Go ahead.
Here's the time. Bucket of popcorn.
Oh.
Nate, you want to start us off, buddy?
oh man. Oh man. This movie, zero buckets.
Wow.
Whoa.
Buckets from the last movie.
That's tough, man. That is rough. That is a late to the party first, folks. I don't know. Get a rating that low again.
Wow.
I was so mad at you. I was so mad. Dude, I was grounded to my fucking computer for 2 hours. Like, what did I do to Lego to deserve to go through this? This is so tough. Like, I felt like I was sitting in the corner and I had to think about what I said.
Well, I hope you know why I was mad at you, boy. You're a good kid. You just disappoint me. Frustrating.
Oh my goodness.
Zach, let's hear it.
Like you guys always say, the buckets of popcorn with this movie did create a lot of film. It did influence a lot of film. I mean, like after I watched it, I went on and I looked at like what did this. I knew the C-3PO thing because of Star Wars books I would read about like how Star Wars was made and all that. But then when I read like The Matrix and I forgot what other movies were on there, but I was just like, damn, dude, I can't believe that this movie influenced. Maybe, like I said, if I would have seen a cleaner version, maybe that metal version, that would have been cool. But that music was putting me to sleep. Like, it was like sleep music, like, din, 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 din. And I was super tired when I watched this, so that probably didn't help. I should have been more awake. But for buckets of popcorn, I'm gonna give it a 5. I'll put it right in the middle because it did influence a lot of people, and it has all that cool futuristic stuff, like you guys said, from the backdrops and all that. Like, it does show what we look at now in modern society of buildings and how all that is. So that's pretty cool for a 1929 to fucking see all that. Damn it.
Haha, cursing for kids. Gotcha again. Jose, how many buckets?
I don't know what's wrong with these guys, man. I mean, not having ever watched this movie and watching it and just knowing, like, this thing influenced this, like, I could tell, just 10, baby. I'm giving it a 10. I'm sorry.
Polarizing.
You know me, man. I love it. There's something about a movie like this where it's silent. I like Charlie Chaplin. This isn't the first silent movie I watched, but I think for what they were doing at that time and to influence everything until today, and to still have it, in film study classes, and to still be talked about and be in the conversation today. Name something else from 1929 that's other than the Depression. So I'm going with 10.
Hell yeah, baby. I'm right there with you. I'm a 10 out of 10 too, but I think we all
way.
this was the first time I saw it. Yeah, I know. First time I saw it, I loved it. It was great, and it was everything I was hoping it was going to be. And yeah, I maybe would have liked an original score, like if it was actually made for the movie, it wasn't just classical pieces. But yeah, dude, I loved Fantasia as a kid, and like this totally had that vibe. But I was even thinking about putting on like my own music and just like kind of watching the film and seeing how it went. But yeah.
Did I tell you guys I used to do that with Sábado Gigante back in the day? I would put on Sábado Gigante and the girls would be dancing in bikinis. And then I would put my own music on, because that music that we're dancing to is horrible. Put my own music on. They're like, off to Neverland.
Oh man. Squats. That's pretty good. Scots.
I give it a 9 out of 10. There's just so much, and that you brought up the fact that even our ratings are polarizing, because that's exactly what this movie is supposed to do. It's doing everything that it's supposed to do. It's causing discussions. It's
like a Ryan Johnson film.
I'm sorry. I gotta bring I mean, this is exactly what it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to bring conversation. It's supposed to do these things, even in these like reviews and stuff like that. And you don't have to be, although there's a lot of smart, like I call them thinkums in this. This is a thinkum movie. You don't have to necessarily be that to still like get it. Yeah, it might be slow, and you might not like it because of that, or black and white or whatever. But if you're actually able to like really watch it and see it, you don't have to think too hard. It's basic yet complex, and I kind of like that about it. It's a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect for me, but it's darn close.
Nice. Joshua, what do we got? Yeah.
This movie is definitely a 10. I mean, everybody's been saying that it's the influences everything. It's funny because I can actually see ways in which previous films have influenced this one. There were scenes with the mad scientist Rothwang, where like when he comes out of his house, it's filmed almost exactly like the way that Count Orlok will appear on the scene in Nosferatu. Mm-hmm. I really got a vibe off of that, but nevertheless. This film is definitely a 10. I mean, just thinking about the time in which the movie was made. It's during the Weimar Republic in Germany. So this is after the First World War. Most of the German economy is in the toilet. And they spent a crap load of money on this film. It was made only a few years before Hitler is elected to the Supreme Chancellery in Germany. and the movie itself is kind of reflective of that period, with most people tremendously poor and only these few super wealthy people in the upper echelons of society. And it just there's so much I could say about this movie.
Definitely. So
I had an epiphany, guys. I had an epiphany right now.
let's hear it.
My epiphany is that as the creator and the host of this show, I need to draw clearer lines on what a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are. Here's my chance. The Chinese hells, okay? The Chinese believe that there are different kinds of hell. Okay, like let's say you live in Death Valley, live in the desert. A life of eternal fire and heat would be a perfect thing for you because you like that. So maybe your hell is being stuck in the snow or something. My personal hell would be to be strapped in and having to watch this fucking movie over and over again. That would be my personal hell. So if I were to get the Chinese hell. So like, and that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what it did or how it influenced people. But when I think of a movie, I think of something to go get entertained by, and not necessarily get a lecture in, and then I'm not trying to be offensive here, so please don't take it that way, anybody. I'm not a lecture in the political climate in Germany between World War I and World War II. Like, I want to disconnect, watch some shit, have some fun, and then Bruce Lee movie, they killed my master. I spend the whole movie kicking the bad guys' ass, and I revenge my master. I walk out of that thing feeling, yeah, they fucking revenged master, and now I'm gonna go find somebody to kill too because I need to get revenge from my master. Like, all I felt after I saw this movie was, I need to pick a really, really fucking horrible movie next time just to make somebody feel like I felt having to watch this movie. So I'm gonna get revenge next time. When I get like Vengeance will
Good
be
luck,
you
Nate.
fucking killed my master, and I'm gonna come and get you.
Yeah, but you're the one that wants us to watch Citizen Kane, and that's gonna be a nail. Pull those down. Put some bamboo stuff under my face.
At least if we were watching Citizen Kane, you can just hear it and fuck around on your phone and get through it. I couldn't even do that with this. I was just punished.
No, because Citizen Kane,
hours.
we're gonna be getting involved in something that's not even like.
Let me just throw this out there. So, for the record, I was entertained by this film.
Yeah, me too.
I got to the point where I couldn't turn away from it because I wanted to watch it. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying because I have the exact same reaction to the Beatles. I understand how influential they are and how much they did for the rock scene. I hate them. Listening to the Beatles is my Chinese hell. It really is. I loathe that band. I think it's one of the worst bands that's ever walked the face of the earth. But I know that it's influenced so many people and so many bands and music, and I get it. I hate it. That's the kind of thing that would take buckets away from another music group that I love. I get it.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry, I still love you, man.
And
I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
For this film, I really think that we could do an after dark show because I could talk about this film for another 2 hours easy.
Oh man,
Same.
It would have to be after dark.
I'm trying to move this conversation along. I'm trying to get all of our talking points in, but dude, this movie is just start to finish. It's so good. It's good times. It's good times. So anyway,
Did you have
guys,
to write that backwards for it to appear the right way?
No.
That's not how cameras work.
Yeah, wonder why you didn't understand this movie.
Did you watch it in the mirror?
That was horrible.
Isaac, do you have a
You should have watched it on
movies
SAP.
for us to pick for next week?
So it's me?
Yeah.
All right. I've got A dual directing team or creatures?
Damn.
Kind of
Yeah,
like.
I'll do creatures.
I like the dual directing.
I always pick too fast and then other people break the tie. So I'm gonna wait.
All right. I'll do dual directing.
Eddie Nate's coming, so here we go. Nate, you're the tiebreaker, yeah?
What are we at?
Two
Two and
creatures,
two.
two.
And it's creatures or dual directors.
Remember,
I don't
Lego
know,
like
was there-
dual
Were
directors.
there people dual directing silent films?
What?
Fuck, I'm still messed up from punishment. I'll go with creatures.
All right. So we're going.
Since you chose wrong, you also owe Cursing for Kids for that F-bomb you just dropped.
We've got Killer Clowns from Outer
Person for
Space.
Kids owes me money from watching that movie.
Like Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Oh.
Fright Night, or Evil Dead.
Oh crap!
See, the problem, Isaac, is when you say Evil Dead. Now I'm gonna have to watch all of them.
I know. Thanks for that. I know what my weekend's gonna look like if that gets picked. I'm gonna be Nate. I'm gonna be the tiebreaker on this one. No, I'm just kidding. So what are you picking?
The Evil Dead.
Who's going first?
Obviously.
Oh, Evil Dead. Okay.
I've never seen Killer Clown, so I'll throw my vote for that.
I want to see some killer clowns. So, killer clowns.
Yeah, I've never seen Killer Clowns either. I've seen the other two, so I'm gonna have to go with something I haven't seen. Killer Clowns.
That's three.
That's three.
All right.
I
So,
guess I
you didn't
I
have
don't
to
rate-
vote.
so Killer Clowns from Outer Space is on Netflix.
All right. Sweet. All right,
That's one
everybody.
of Dave's
Auf
favorites.
Wiedersehen. Thank you for joining us.
What are you saying? I'm gonna go have some schnitzel.
Good times.
Happy Oktoberfest.
Yeah, where's your sign? Come to your house.